shouldn't say, I am not sent, but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel.
It does. All praise.
Mexican brothers getting shot in their own driveway in front of their kids. All of these are the beginning of sorrow, right? We believe these things. We come out here every week to show our faith.
Come out here and stop you? Did we come out here to talk to you? Did we come out here to talk to you? No, we came out here to talk to our people. We came out here to spread love to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, same people, your people.
Before I get started, give me Papa Shah, Proverbs 148. And you give me 1 Corinthians from the top.
You said Proverbs 148?
You get Corinthians.
The book of 1 Corinthians, chapter 1, verse 1. Paul, called to be an apostle of Yahweh Shah HaMashiach through the will of God, and Sosthenes, our brothers.
So here in the epistle to the Corinthians, we see Paul is introducing himself as the author of this letter, and by what authority he's writing in. He is Paul. He's coming to you in the power and spirit of Mashiach Yahweh Shai, right? Read.
Unto the church of God, which is at Corinth.
To the church of God at Corinth. So there's a particular congregation of people in this land called Corinth. Not everybody in Corinth. Read.
To them that are sanctified in Mashiach Yahweh Shai.
To them that are sanctified. Read.
Called to be saints.
Called to be saints. Now who are the saints? Give me that.
Psalms 148:14. He also exalted the horn of his people, the praise of all his saints, even of the children of Israel.
Even the children of Israel, read.
A people near unto him.
So these saints are the children of Israel, a people near unto Yahweh, the Most High God, the Most High power, right? And that is who Paul is writing to in all of his epistles, but particularly here we're reading Corinthians. You can drop that. Go to 1 Corinthians 15 from the top.
Book of 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verse 1. Moreover, brethren, I declare unto you the gospel which I preach unto you, which also ye have received, and wherein ye stand.
So he's speaking to his brethren about this gospel that they've received. Read.
By which also ye are saved, if ye keep in memory what I preached.
So here it is. He's saying that you Israelites, he's writing to these Israelites in Corinth. You Israelites will be saved by this gospel if you keep it in memory. Read.
Unto you, unless ye have believed in vain.
Unto you, unless you have believed in vain. Not unto everybody, unto you. You that were called to be saints. You Israelites that are near and dear to Yahweh. Read.
For I delivered unto you first of all that which I also received, how that Mashiach died for our sins according to the scriptures.
So who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ died for our sins, not the sins of everybody. He didn't die for the sins of your pet dog. He didn't die for the sins of your pet dog, white girl that you got at home neither. All right? He died for our sins. Read.
And that he was buried, and that he rose again the third day according to the scriptures.
That he was dead and he rose again on the third day. He died for you Israelites, blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. You are the Israelites according to the Bible. The gospel is the good news that you can be saved, that Christ died for you on that cross, that he rose as the perfect example for all of us, that we would be saved from our enemies. And now that we know that, everybody should get on the corner and teach, right? No. The point of what I'm bringing out right now is that we have to crawl before we walk. All right? Crawl before you walk. Give me Hebrews 5 and 12.
Book of Hebrews chapter 5, verse 12. For when the time ye ought to be teachers, Ye have need that one teach you again.
You see, because we come out onto these highways and byways week in and week out, right? Sometimes multiple times a week. And for the most part, we're all grown men, right? And for the most part, the people that we end up conversing with and talking to are also grown men themselves, right? Well, old enough to be teachers. But by and large, the people that we run into, the people that we prophesy to, speak the gospel to, are people that are old enough to teach, but have need that they be taught. Again, we have to relearn these things because from time ancient, we've forgotten who we were. We've forgotten where we came from. We forgot who our God is. We forgot what our responsibility to our God is. So we have to learn again. We have to be built up. Read.
Ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of God, and are become such as need of milk and not strong meat.
So that you would be in need of milk and not strong meat, right? Keep reading. So you would need the basics, not the more advanced parts of the scriptures, because you didn't get the foundation yet, right? In relation to babies growing up, you can't give a newborn baby steak. You're gonna choke and die. You gotta get the milk first. Then when he develops and he matures and he gets his teeth, and then he can eat whatever. Read.
For everyone that uses milk is unskillful in the word of righteousness, for he is a babe. But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised to discern both good and evil.
So when you've been built up, when you have experiences, you can discern from good and evil, right? Simply knowing who you are does not give you the experience of knowing good and evil, which is something that is necessary when it comes to teaching to our people, right? Give me what you got.
Matthew 23 and 15. Woe unto you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, for ye compass sea and land to make one proselyte.
To make one proselyte. They go to all these lengths to make one a proselyte. A proselyte being an Israelite who wasn't in the faith that is now coming into it, right? They go way out of their way to make one a proselyte. Read.
And when he is made, ye make him twofold more the child of hell than yourselves.
And then he becomes twofold more the child of hell than the person that taught him. What the noisiest like possible. Hey, bro, can help me? Hey, my man in the help me.
Can't hear you, dog.
They can't hear. I know they can't hear. Listen, first of all, why my man got a big mic? That's what happens when you bring the word out, man. Somebody want to come through and drown it out. That's nothing but the devil, man. That's Satan. That's Satan. Even if our people are with Satan, it's still Satan. That's what they've consented to. So, twice the child of hell as the one that talking. Example. Without saying names, right? Hey, Lord willing. Lord willing. But an example without saying names. There was a brother that came and spoke to us a week ago. Was it 2 weeks ago or 1 week ago? A week ago. The brother came to us and spoke with us, and it was our second or third time talking to him. This brother was a part of a group of Israelites that at least know they're Israelites. These brothers hardly know up from down. These brothers have a great, large congregation, but they're still in need of milk. They're not ready for strong meat. They think they are. That's why they say all these bugged out things, all these crazy, fantastical Greek mythology sounding things. It's not real because they don't have a real understanding of the scriptures. So he was a part of these people for upwards of a decade, and today is a full-fledged what is it? Calvinist. So he's a member of a Calvinist Christian church now, going twice as hard as he ever did when he had fringes on, trying to battle what the men of God are doing, having become twice the child of hell that his former elder ever was. And his former elder got his own problems, make no mistake. But this man has now become worse. This is the point. Everybody that know they're Israelite ain't fit to teach. Everybody's calling's not even to teach. I would still encourage you, get your knowledge up, get your understanding up, and possibly most importantly, get your wisdom up in order to be able to teach and further this message to wake up more people. But if you're still struggling with the milk, you're going to be out there saying who knows what. This, that, and everything. And all it's going to take is for one person that knows a little bit of something. They don't even have to really know nothing for real. They just got to know what you're about to say so they can confound you. That's what Christian apologists specialize in wholeheartedly, man. Because first, what was it? It was John 3:16. This is for everybody. But then they was getting cut. They didn't know that it said that there was multiple worlds in the Bible. They didn't know that it said Israel was a world without end in the Bible. Right. They didn't know these things until they heard it from us. Maybe not me specifically, but brothers like myself, if not also myself. So what they have to do, they have to switch their attack. Now they didn't go, oh, dang, you know what? You're right. I can't defend that. It does say this. Maybe there's something to what y'all saying. They say, no. These guys are wrong. Let's try a different angle. Then they get cut on that. All right, well, let's try a different angle. How many times do you have to get cut before you acknowledge that, okay, maybe you don't agree with me totally, but there's something to what I'm saying? They can't even do that. Why? Because they're devilish. And that's exactly whose hands that brother was led into the hands of these devils, whose sole purpose is to try to disrupt blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans hearing the gospel, to try to disrupt blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans hearing their duty in life, to disrupt like brothers going to these brothers that don't know nothing to try to get them to stop killing each other over neighborhoods and colors, to stop selling and using drugs to and with one another, to stop sleeping with each other's wives and being homosexuals and child molesters and the like. They want us to stay in the mud. We trying to lift our people up out the dirt. But in order to lift our people out the dirt, we have to be able to recognize what the dirt is. If we just know who we are and we don't know whether or not we're sinking in the mud, you're not gonna be able to help nobody get up out of it.
That's right.
Right? Give me Acts 15 and 20. All right? Because we have examples. Not only do we have the law, statutes, and commandments, but we also have testimony. We have examples of how these wise men in the Bible dealt with newcomers, dealt with proselytes, dealt with people that were just coming into this thing. And honestly, it was an ingenious idea. And it was through the Spirit. Read it.
Book of Acts, chapter 15, verse 20. But that we write unto them that they abstain from pollutions of idols.
So they said, look, we're going to tell these newcomers, stay away from idolatry. Read.
And from fornication.
And from fornication. No more inordinate sex acts. Read.
And from things strangled.
Anything that was strangled to death, you can't eat it. All right? Read.
And from blood.
And from blood. You can't consume the blood. Pursuant to the laws, right? Read.
For Moses of old time hath in every city them that preach him, being read in the synagogues every Sabbath day.
You see that? Because if you read up earlier, it even says that these Pharisees, they sit in Moses' seat. They're saying, look, there's synagogues all over the place where every Sabbath day they're going in depth and teaching these lessons that these people need to hear. Let's give them something to start with and send them off to these classes. Send them off to these synagogues on the Sabbath, right? Read.
Then pleased it the apostles and elders with the whole church to send chosen men of their own company to Antioch with Paul.
So they sent everybody that heard the word that they were an Israelite, or that this was for them.
Chosen men of their own company.
They sent chosen men, qualified men of their own company to go and spread this word. Read.
To Antioch with Paul and Barnabas, namely Judas, surnamed Barsabas, and Silas, chief men among the brethren.
See that? And the point of that coming out is to show that it wasn't just everybody that heard, okay, don't eat nothing strangled, don't fornicate, don't eat blood, you know. Hey man, Lord's will be done. It's not just these proselytes that's coming in that we're sending out with this message. What's gonna happen if you do that? They're gonna put extras on it. They're gonna say, okay, well, I understood it like this, but maybe they heard it wrong. It's gonna be something askew. So look, y'all get this word. What we telling you right now, go get some more. Hey, you brothers right here that's been chosen, you going out and you're spreading this out. All right? And then when those men that's going to the synagogues every week get lifted up in the spirit, get more experience, can tell right from wrong, can defend the gospel, well, then they can do it too. Well, then they can do it too, man. There were people that were sent out, right? Give me Exodus 28 and 17. Because at the end of the day, there is nothing of any importance that's just done on a whim, that's left to, for lack of better words, a novice, right? You don't just find a bunch of random rocks and pile them on top of each other and call it a house. That's gonna fall down on you. You don't even make jewelry like that. You don't take no gold in the rough or diamonds in the rough and just stick it on your finger and call that a diamond ring. That's ugly. It's busted up. It's not ready. You gotta make it right. You can't even just find a piece of metal and call that an axe. You gotta sharpen it. You always have to work on something in order to make it right. And this is no different. Read.
Book of Exodus chapter 28, verse 17. And thou shalt set in its settings of stones, even 4 rows of stones.
So this is talking about the high priest and his garment and the breastplate.
I wish somebody would shoot me.
Hey, get him on camera right now.
As the person talking through my heart, not fucking stop. I don't give a fuck how old it is.
Why doth the heathen rage?
I don't give a fuck.
Edomite rage. Look, man, I want y'all to take that sight in and think about how goddamn cold it is that we messed up so bad that the Most High God put us under him. A hunched over cave beast. Talking to himself, talking about he wish somebody would shoot him, man. Hey, me too. Me too. I don't have much in common with the devil, but I hope he get that one wish. Now, speaking of stones, precious stones. We are precious in the sight of the Most High God. That's what he's called us. We are that ornament. We are that jewel for him, right? And we can see this in the scriptures, especially when we're looking at the ephod and the breastplate of the high priest. Read.
Exodus 28:17. And thou shalt set in its settings of stones, even 4 rows of stones. The first row shall be a sardius, a topaz, and a carbuncle.
Read on.
This shall be the first row. The second row shall be an emerald, a sapphire, and a diamond. And the third row, a gird, and agate, and amethyst. And the fourth row, a barrel, and an onyx, and a jasper. they shall be set in gold in their enclosure.
So these polished stones, these precious stones will be set in gold. All 12 of these stones, right? Read on.
Verse 21, and the stones shall be with the names of the children of Israel, 12, according to their names, like the engravings of a signet.
See that? So engraved on all of these stones is the names of all 12 tribes, showing that these precious stones represent the nation of Israel.
That's right.
Read.
Every one with his name shall they be.
Was that 21?
This is 20.
Go ahead. Give me wisdom and song.
Every one with his name shall they be according to the 12 tribes.
Right? Showing that these things were indicative of us as a people, knowing how precious and important that we are to the Most High God, that He's not going to cast us away, that we are beautiful in His sight. Right? Give me that in wisdom.
Wisdom of Solomon,
1 Kings 5:7.
18 verse 24. For in the long garment was the whole world.
So within this long garment, this garment that the high priest, starting with Aaron, wore, was the whole world. That go back to John 3:16, like we just brought out. There was 12 tribes in that garment, not everybody on earth, right? Read.
And in the four rows of the stones was the glory of the Father's grace, and thy majesty upon the diadem of his head.
Again, all these things coming into being, proving that of course you have to work on these things and polish these things and hew these stones in order for them to be brilliant and glorious like they are. Which is the same thing when it comes to building a structure. You have to hew the stones that you're going to build with. You even have to chop the wood that you're going to use as a foundation. You can't just cut this tree down. Get this tree on camera. You can't just cut this tree down and then call it the doorway to your house. That ain't even shaped like nothing. You can't build on that. You would have to cut the branches off, sand off the bark, finish the wood, varnish it, and all that stuff. Look, I don't build houses, but I'm saying there's a process, right? We build spiritual temples out here, right? And this is the spiritual temple that we're talking about building in this lesson. It's the body of the people. And you have to come as hewn stones. You got what I want?
Book of 1 Kings chapter 5 verse 17. And the king commanded, and they brought great stones, costly stones,
right? Read.
And huge stones. Stones
that were cut into shape, that were fashioned for building. You think they just, when we built those pyramids, you think we just found stones that shape perfect like that? You can't even stick a diamond between them bricks. Those were hewn stones. Read.
Hewn stones to lay the foundation of the house. And Solomon's builders and Hiram's builders did hew them. And the stone quarriers.
The stone squares are the ones that get the shape into the stone, right? Read.
And they prepared timber and stones to build the house.
So all these things had to be prepared before the building of the house, right? It's very important. Now give me, I want you, Masha, I need you to get Ephesians 2 and 19. And I want you to hold 1 Kings 6 and 1. Go ahead.
Ephesians 2 and 19.
Ephesians chapter 2 verse 19. Now therefore ye are no more strangers and foreigners, but fellow citizens with the saints and of the household of God.
So that these Ephesians, also being Israelites that were written to in this epistle, are no more strangers. They're coming home to the household of God. Read.
And are built upon the foundation, the apostles and prophets.
So the apostles and the prophets, they laid the foundation of this spiritual building. They laid the foundation. And read.
Jesus Christ, or Yahushua Mashiach, himself being the chief cornerstone.
And that's the chief cornerstone. Listen, I've heard that my whole life, going to church, never knew for 1 second what it meant. Because they don't explain it. They just say, oh, Jesus Christ, the chief cornerstone, the head cornerstone. But they don't get into the spiritual building of the temple. They don't get into hewing stones because that's not their business. Their business ain't hewing stones. Their business is taking in these stones and casting them back out the way they came. When you come into this thing, when you come into this knowledge, you're supposed to be shaped. You're supposed to have that wickedness shaved off of you so that you can be shaped properly in order to be a part of the building of this temple. Read.
In whom all the buildings fitly framed together.
Fitly what?
Fitly framed together.
Not sloppily laid on top of one another, fitly framed together. You can't do that with just raw stones. Read.
Groweth unto an holy temple in the Lord.
A holy temple, a set apart temple in the Lord. Not some ramshackle piece of garbage that he don't want to take no glory in. All right? Get 22.
In whom ye are builded together for an habitation of God through the Spirit.
See that? So that's how we're builded together. All right? There's a carnal application, but there's a spiritual meaning behind it. All right? It's not just about how nice your actual building looks. Just like when it's talking about in the scriptures about defiling the temple, it ain't just about graffiti on a wall. You know what I'm saying? It's about us as a people that build together.
Book of 1 Kings, chapter 6, verse 1. Verse Kings 6 and 1. And it came to pass in the 480th year after the children of Israel were come out of the land of Egypt, in the 4th year of Solomon's reign over Israel, in the mountains, like in the month Ziph, which is the 2nd month, that he began to build the house of Yahweh.
So here we are building a house unto the Lord, building a house of Yahweh, right? With stones that fitly go together, with hewn stones, not just raw material, with processed timber, things of the like. In verse 7.
Verse 7. The house, and the house when it was in building, was built of stone made ready before it, and was brought thither.
So the stones were made ready before they were brought together. They didn't get all these stones together, hew them right there in front of themselves, and then start building. These stones were hewn from where they got picked up at and brought over, ready to be built up, ready to be put together. See what I'm saying? And this is going into what I've been talking about. Everybody that just knows that they're a stone doesn't mean that they're a hewn stone. When you bring them together, when you put it forth to be presented, they should be hewn already. Right? Read.
So that there was neither hammer nor axe nor any tool of iron heard in the house while it was in building.
So there was no need to hear any iron tools in the house because those iron tools would have been used a long time ago already. These stones were already made ready. Give me Colossians, brother. Romans.
Colossians chapter 3 verse 5. Mortify therefore your members.
So how is it that we become these hewn stones? We literally have to kill our members. That's exactly what you're doing when you're hewing a stone. You're cutting off parts of it in order to shape it, to make it useful. You have to cut off parts of yourself in order to make yourself useful. Because if you come up here as a raw stone, how are you going to impart this wisdom on the next person? You know what happens? They end up looking at you and saying, oh, okay, well, I learned from this brother, and he's knowledgeable, and he knows this, and he knows that. And, yeah, he taught me a couple of good things, but I see that, it must not be a big deal to eat things sacrificed unto idols because, every Thanksgiving, every Christmas, this man going to grandma's house and partaking of all the food. He going to Sunday church just to make his grandma happy, and he eating the food there too that they just prayed over and blessed in the name of some white boy. That's on a big old Tammuz cross. So So when you do these things, you're laying stumbling blocks because you weren't a hewn stone. Were you reading right now? Keep going. Yeah, hold what you got. Hold what you got. Keep going, huh?
Okay. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscences, and covetousness, which is idolatry.
See that? So all these different things, all these different sins that our people are wrapped up in, that we have to kill off of ourselves, to mortify our members.
Colossians chapter 3 verse 5. Mortify therefore your members which are upon the earth, fornication, uncleanness, inordinate affection, evil concupiscence, and covetousness, which is idolatry. For which things sake the wrath of God cometh on the children of disobedience.
So there's all these things. We're going to get the next verse too. There's all these things that were listed. These are sins. These are things that we have to have hewn off of us, have destroyed from our members. We have to mortify our members, meaning kill those parts of ourselves. Read.
In the which ye also walk sometime.
See, so in the which ye also walk sometimes, meaning these are the things that you were once doing. This is what he's saying to these people that he's writing to. You have to cut that out. Read.
Why do the heathen rage?
Go ahead,
When ye lived in them.
See, when ye lived in them, past tense. You're not living in them no more. You're supposed to be hewn stones now, right? In which also ye lived, past tense. Get Romans 14. Baba Kashad, give me Ecclesiastes.
Book of Romans chapter 14, verse 13. Let us not therefore judge one another anymore, but judge this rather, that no man put a stumbling block or an occasion to fall in his brother's way.
You see, and that's what I was talking about earlier, that stumbling block. Many of our brothers and sisters, and I'm including brothers and sisters because there's a lot of sisters that like to get up and spout their loud mouths too, along with these brothers that ain't got no business spouting their loud mouths. You see what I'm saying? That set stumbling blocks that present themselves as though they were hewn, and in fact they are not, right? And they end up causing others to fall and becoming twice the child of hell they ever were. Read.
I know and am persuaded by the Lord.
Hold on. 16.
Verse 16. Let not then your good be evil. Let not then your good be evil spoken of.
So let not your good be evil spoken of. So you're doing a good work and going out and teaching the word. That's beautiful. Nobody's denying that. But if you are not fit to do it, you're doing more harm than good. Your good works will be evil spoken of because the result, the fruit that you produce will be rotten. Hold that real quick. I'm gonna read this real fast in the NLT. Ecclesiastes 10:10. All right? Because like I said, it is a good work to go out there and preach the word. But it is better that you present yourself a hewn stone already in order to do it. Does that mean that if you are not built up from the ground up like that, if you are not a 100% right angle, that you can't teach the word? No, that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it is wise to be a hewn stone before going forth and doing these things. Because yes, maybe you can do it, but the next 10 brothers you recruit to do it, maybe they can't. And then those 10 brothers end up getting lost because you threw them into the deep end of the pool and they wasn't ready to swim. All right? Ecclesiastes 10:10 in the NLT. Using a dull axe requires great strength. You can use a dull axe. It's just not a good idea. You got to be really strong in order to swing that thing and get the desired result. Using a dull axe requires great strength. So sharpen the blade, That's the value of wisdom. It helps you succeed. And that's the point. The point is to succeed. The point isn't just to get out there for the sake of getting out there. The point is to save these lost souls. The point is to make these dead bones live.
That's right.
That's the point. The success. Get what you got.
Proverbs chapter 27 and 17. Iron sharpeneth iron.
Now, how do you sharpen an axe? On something else that's similar. Iron sharpeneth iron. What happens when you sharpen that iron? You're shaving away pieces of the iron in order to narrow it down into an edge fine enough to cut through something so that you can hew your stones with it, so that you can do whatever processing you need to do with it without exerting excessive amounts of strength that you might not even have. In my years in this truth, I've seen a lot of brothers that honestly I believe were smarter than me, sharper than me, had more breakdowns than I did, could call verses off the top of their head better than I could, all that stuff. Jump head first into this, not hewn stones, burned out, man. It's a marathon, not a sprint.
That's right.
Burn it. Now these guys are off somewhere doing all kinds of wickedness, man. Brothers is forsaking Yahushai, forsaking brotherhoods, just doing all manners of evil. You know what I'm saying? So the key is the success. You gotta sharpen your axe. Read that again from the top.
Iron sharpeneth iron. So a man sharpeneth the countenance of his friend.
And that's what we're here to do. We're here to build each other up. The Bible says that two are better than one. See what I'm saying? And a threefold cord is not quickly broken. Your friends are there to lift you up. That's a cold cut to any Hebrew individualite. Anybody that says, "Oh, I don't want to be around nobody. I don't like nobody. All camps are wicked. All these guys are evil." All right, well maybe all these guys are evil, but how are you helping them? Are you a hewn stone? Are you evil? Are you doing the right thing, or are you just some jagged, everyday, worthless rock, like the rest of these guys you pointing the finger at? If you got it, then go ahead, man. And hopefully these people that you teach don't become twice the child the hell you were. Hopefully you have that success, right. And that way their iron can be sharpened on yours. Go ahead.
It's the book of Ezekiel, chapter 41, verse 10. And between the chambers was the wideness of 20 cubits round.
43.
Ezekiel 43, verse 10. Thou son of man, show to the house of Israel.
Thou son of man, show the house to the house.
Oh, wow. Okay,
go ahead, take your time,
Ezekiel 43 and 10. Thou son of man, show the house to the house of Israel.
So show the house to the house of Israel. The house being this temple that we're building. Show them this house to the children of Israel. Read.
That they may be ashamed of their iniquities.
That they may be ashamed of their iniquities. When they see this house, when the house of Israel sees this house that we're presenting to them, it should make them ashamed of their iniquities. Why? Because they will see a fitly built house of hewn stones, and there they are, a jagged, dirty rock. They see the potential in themselves by looking at this house. It's not supposed to be just a perfect mirror for them. It's supposed to make them ashamed. Read.
And let them measure the pattern.
And let them measure the pattern. Figure out how this is built. Figure out the ins and outs of this thing. Learn so they can then emulate it. Read.
Verse 11. And if they be ashamed of all that they have done.
And if it works, if they be ashamed of all that they've done, read.
Shew them the form of the house, and the fashion thereof, and the doings, and the goings out thereof, and the comings in thereof, and all the forms thereof, and all the ordinances thereof, and all the forms thereof, and all the laws thereof, and write it in their sight, that they may keep the whole form thereof.
You see that? So they're supposed to see all these things, the comings and goings, the ordinances, the laws, the form of everything, so that they can learn and be a part of that house. Read. So they're supposed to see the house, be ashamed, and if they are ashamed, then they learn the comings and goings, the form, the format, the layout, the ordinances, the laws, what to do, how to do it, when to do it. Because they know they can come to you for that because you're already part of that house. Read.
And all the ordinances thereof, and do them.
And do them. That's the point. They got to do them. Not just hear them, not even just know them. They got to do them. All right? So with that, crawl before you walk, be a hewn stone, build that temple by being that temple man. And with that, I want to say, Call Halal Yahweh, Ba'ashem HaMashiach Yahweh Shai. That's all praises to the Most High God in the name of His only begotten Son, who the world ignorantly calls Jesus Christ, and Kwam Yasharala.
Kwam Yasharala.
SICARRI.